Well, I understand that off-grid living and tiny house living, tiny house life, cabin life, things like that, isn't for everybody. This is the 12 by 12 cabin that I live in, built myself, and it is for some people, and it isn't for others. And it's so interesting because I mentioned in probably a lot of my previous videos how I always think about the old timers that used to live in places like this, and it was literally a life or death situation when they did it, coming across maybe the prairies, coming across from coast to coast. Fill up your wagon, grab some people, go on the journey. That's kind of where we're going to settle. Oh, well, we can't fix the wagon, so this is where we're going to settle. If you're in a spot that has winter, well, then you got to get your place built. You got to get your garden up. And most times you have cattle because you got horses back in the day. You got to get all this stuff built, all the infrastructure built before winter. So it really puts into a frame of mind what all of our ancestors used to do and what they had to overcome back in the day. It's crazy how far we've come as a civilization and how comfy we have gotten over the last little bit. The work is definitely a little bit more than, or should I say not even more, it's just different kind of work that is for the off-grid homesteading and stuff like that. Down into the woodshed right here, and you got to keep a stockpile of wood, even though this isn't this place would usually be filled by now, but haven't gotten my wood order yet. But got to keep a stockpile of wood because for my cabin, the only thing for the source of heat that it has right now is a wood stove. The downfalls of having the wood stove are obviously you got to keep it stocked full in the winter time. You got to have wood on hand available either on your property or know somebody that you can be able to get wood from. Depending on the size of your house and depending on the size of your wood stove, when over here it can get minus 20, minus 30 in the wintertime, you don't really want to overstock your wood stove when you're going to bed at night because for like in my cabin here, you see that there's a bedroom loft up here where those two windows are. So when you stock that thing full, it is a detriment. You're trying to sleep and it is just super hot up there, so you got to be mindful on how you use your wood, how you stog your wood fire, your wood stove I should say. A lot of the time I'll just kind of stog it to a point, maybe stops putting wood in at about 6 or 7 o'clock, and then that way I can get through most of the night. By the time morning comes, there's just a little bit of a chill that's starting to get into the air. Now obviously that's going to get a lot better the more exterior insulation that I get. There's a couple spots that isn't finished. Same with on the inside. There's a couple spots that aren't finished on the inside with the interior insulation. But for the most part, it's 75% insulated, maybe even a little bit more than that. If you don't want to get up and deal with wood, deal with the wood stove, having to cut wood, having to chop wood, starting a fire and things like that, it definitely is not going to be an enjoyable way of living. Mind you, there are differences in all kinds of off-grid lives, tiny cabin lifestyles, tiny house living, and things like that. With this place here, I don't have running water, I don't have electricity. Mind you, I do have a power bank, I do have a generator, and those kind of make things life a little bit easier in charging up phones, laptops, things to be able to do these videos. But you don't even need that. Our ancestors and our great-great-grandparents didn't have anything like that. Same thing with outhouses. Not really fun going out into the outhouse into the winter and such like that, but it's not really for me a deal breaker. You got to be more cognizant on how you're going to store things. I mentioned in one of my other videos, my last video, these two nightstands right there. I definitely would like to get those all tidied up and cleaned up. But for the lack of space, being in under 200 square feet, I don't have a spot to put them. That's why, like I had mentioned before, these egg cartons, they are just kind of right there. Maybe I'll move those, like I said, up in top of the cabinet there, but haven't gotten around to it. So it's just these different things that might make or break your life in wanting to decide, oh, okay, I'm going to build a tiny house. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that into off-grid living. So eventually, this is where I had my wood pile for last winter. Eventually this will be the woodshed, I just didn't get it finished. I haul water back here. I don't have a dug well yet, although that is in the plans and in the works for the future. So just these things you gotta think in mind. Now this, later on down the line, where I have my storage for my wood right now, this is going to be with the impromptu bathhouse. It's gonna have kind of like a sauna and a bath area in here where the wood is. But instead of trying to finish off the area over here, I just figured since this is already has a roof and it's already Tyvek'd, that we're going to pop the wood in here for the time being, and Bob's your uncle. Everything is dependent on how much money you want to spend also. I am doing this literally paycheck to paycheck, don't have a lot of money, didn't have a lot of money building it when I was getting the first bit of the structure erected, and it was just paycheck to paycheck. Started building it in the winter, lived in my car, lived in a early video what I called the hobo hut, lived in there just because I wanted to keep building it during the winter. And I had some people ask me over the last little bit, well, how much did this cost to get it, you know, roughed in kind of thing. I don't have an actual hard answer, I guess, where I know exact figures, but I would say it would be probably somewhere in the range of $5,000 to $7,000, maybe $8,000 in and around there, 5 to 8,000, give or take maybe. So obviously not too bad, but if you had $50,000 to do up your house and to get your property and all that, that would be, well, you would, in my opinion, you'd be able to have such an amazing property for that price. This place would already be finished if I had that much money to invest into it. You could get solar, you could get your property, you could get your wells dug, you could get a garden started, you know, finish off your building, and have your outbuildings, either build it big enough that you can have an indoor bathroom, an outdoor bathroom. There's so many variances when you have more money to choose from. But unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on which way you look at it, this for me and the build that I'm doing wasn't really feasible for, you know, the time in my life where I'm at right now with that. A top on it, you know, a roof on it, and it'll be covered in, just like over here for the bathhouse. But saying that, that doesn't mean I don't have plans for the future, as if you are a continued subscriber, muchly appreciated. You've heard me talk about in previous episodes that in and around front here, where I just have these boards where it was getting a little bit wet, there is going to be an L-shaped deck that's going on to attach onto my mudroom right there. And then in and around the backside of the cabin, there is going to be an 8x16 kitchen addition. So just off to the backside over on this side, it'll extend from this corner and wrap around all the way to the back of the mudroom. And that'll be an 8x16 kitchen addition. And in that kitchen addition, it will either be the bathroom on the far corner of the wall, an indoor bathroom, or I will put it where the kitchen is now under the stairs. So there is all kinds of stuff that I want to do. It's just the mucho dineros that I don't have right now. They're kind of going towards other things, and the little bit of money that I do have kind of thing. But it's exciting to think about the future and to plan for the future. And I can already envision it. I can already see it all done in my mind. I can see it all insulated on the outside. I can see the exterior siding on. I can see everything all finished. And I just, you know, I wish I could just kind of pluck a thought from my brain and so you guys could see it as well. But it will get done, and it'll be super exciting to share that and continue on with getting this place, you know, spick and spam kind of thing. Though it may not be the easiest way of living. Oh man, the last couple of years of getting this of full-time living here, and then the last 4 or 5 years of building it have been absolutely awesome. Learned a lot. And I think back when I used to have an actual house and mortgage, and, you know, had to pay your mortgage and electric and insurance and just bills, an endless supply of bills. I am just so thankful for the freedom that this place gives me, where it's just so relaxing not to have a mortgage, not to be able to, you know, have rent, not to have these things that are required with the regular way, the quote-unquote regular way of life and living. Definitely adds stress to your life, especially if you're in a house or if you're in an apartment and you're like, oh, I don't want to be here. And then added on top of that, if you're at a job that you don't like, so you're working at a job you don't like to pay for a house you don't want, to live a life you don't even want. And it's just so many people are stuck in this conundrum, stuck in this repetitive cycle. And I was one of them for many years. And it just, by the grace of the good Lord Almighty and hard work, and by him blessing me with certain things, that I was able to change my circumstances. And even though that it's not to where I want, I definitely consider myself super blessed and super thankful for what I have here at the 12 by 12 tiny cabin in the woods. My little slice of paradise. I will say it is just super nice to get this fire going. And as much as I don't like the winter, it is nice to just sit by the old fire here on the couch, kick your feet up, and it's just super, super calming, super relaxing. Sleeping up in the bedroom loft upstairs, it gets so dark up there once I close those blinds that you can't even see your hand in front of your face. It is just amazing. There's an owl at the back of the property that I hear that is just super, super loud, that whoos and whoos and whoos most nights. You can hear the peeper frogs in the summer. You can see through the, if there's no leaves are out or anything, you can see the stars in the sky, and it is just so, so quiet and calming back here compared to being in the city around all the noise of the traffic and street lights and just people and hustle and bustle and this and that. Now, mind you, there is noise out here. It's a different kind of noise. You'll hear the dirt bikes and four-wheelers going. So take it as it will with country life. But yeah, it is so nice to get back and just, you know, the way that our forefathers used to live, kind of thing. All in all, if you want to pursue this kind of life, this kind of cabin life, slower, off-grid, homesteading stuff, just make it work, make it happen. Get out there and just start working towards those goals, because all in all, you're just never going to know until you just do it. And I don't know, I live my life the kind of way that I don't really want to go to my deathbed with any regrets, but it's that catch-22 where I look at other people in their lives and all the you know, all the things that they have, and I say things as in like materialistic items. So all in all, it really doesn't matter. But I look, oh man, they got a house and got vehicles and got all this four-wheelers and yada yada yada, right? And I've spent my money on a lot of experiences rather than things. Spent a lot of my 20s traveling around the world, going here, there, and everywhere, and just have lived my life in a different way, by a different beat of the drum kind of thing. So I just encourage you, you know, you don't have to fall into the paradigm that society and school and the government, you know, parents, grandparents, whoever it may be, that's trying to push you into. You don't have to stay within the confines of the box. You can break free from that box, and who knows what you might find within yourself, within your life, things that you may want, things that you may not want. And yeah, I'm just so thankful to Jesus that that he pushed me and that I was able to listen to him knocking on my heart, because all in all, everything is going to fade in this world. Cabin's going to go back to the ground. Everything that I have really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. The only thing that matters is my salvation through Jesus. So I am just super grateful for that, and for my journey leading me to him, and him embracing me with open arms. Because it doesn't matter if you have $1 billion in the bank. It doesn't matter if you have $0 in the bank. It could be a homeless person that has Jesus is a lot more than a billionaire who doesn't know him. So I encourage you, find your own journey, find your own self. But I really pray and I really hope that you can include the Lord in your journey as well, because nobody gets out of here alive, and there's one of two places that we're going to go to without getting too preachy on y'all. You know, it's either to heaven or to hell, right? And it's an eternity in each. So I'll just leave that with you. Pray the best over your life, and encourage you to just break free from the box that may be keeping you confined in your own life. God bless you guys, and we'll see y'all back here at the cabin for another episode very shortly. Woo! Peace out, y'all.